Hi, boys, and welcome to Wednesday, May 12th. And the reason why I have my mask on today, it says, be kind. And we're going to talk about bumblebees today. Actually, we're going to talk about all different kinds of bees. But let's start our day in prayer. Dear God, thank you for my mommy, and I just want to say how much I love her on this Mother's Day. Amen. Amen. Okay. What do you think this is? I'm going to put it right up to the camera. What do you think this is? This is what a bumblebee looks like. This is a picture of a real bumblebee. So this is what his or her stripes look like. And today we're going to be talking all about bumblebees. I have two books, Honeybees, and then I have a book called Bees. We're going to be doing our biscuit to honey worksheet. We're going to be taking that yummy honey and dripping it down to our biscuits. We're going to be tracing and cutting. Here's your bee worksheet that we're going to color in. We're going to make a beehive. Here's our beehive and our bees. So we're going to do some cutting. And then this is what it's going to look like when it's done. See our bees in our hive. And then we have a worksheet that says, if I were a bee, what would I see? I'd see some blank flowers right below me. So we're going to paint this page and then we're going to answer the question on the bottom. All right, so a lot of fun things to do today. Miss Sheila is a big bee fan. I love bees. I love honey. There's a big part in my living room that is decorated all bees. I'll show you a picture of that. It's pretty cool. And I just love them. I love everything about them except when they sting. And they really only sting to protect themselves or if they get scared and they're not sure. So if we stay away from bees and we respect their area, they're going to respect us and not try to sting us. All right, so let's take out our biscuits and honey. And you've seen these a million times, so I'm just going to do one for you. We're going to start at the top where the honey is dripping, and we're going to follow that line all the way down to the biscuit. And we're going to do that 4 times. And I'm looking for 2 things when we do this, boys. I'm looking for you taking your time and following the line. And I'm also looking for how you're cutting, because when we're done tracing them, we're going to start at the top with that honey and we're going to go down, and it's not going to be easy because we're going to be turning a lot of the page and we're going to do our best to get down from the honey to the biscuit. And these curves can be tough, so we're going to take our time. Like I told you in the past, it's almost easier to keep the scissors still and move the paper. But that's something that takes practice. So don't get frustrated if you're still having a hard time with it, because it takes a lot of practice. All right, so this is what our worksheet's going to look like when we're done. We're going to trace it and then we're going to cut it. Okay, if you need more time, you can either put that on the back burner, do that afterwards, or you can pause the video. All right, and our bumblebee, okay, this is what I gave you, and I just started to do this, okay? So I was trying to make it look like this, okay, doing the black and the yellow. I'm gonna put that close again. Actually, they're actually fuzzy. Our bumblebees are fuzzy. And then their wings, they're pretty clear. Actually, if your mom has any wax paper hanging around, that's almost what the bee wings look like, is the wax paper. So I'll put this aside. This is your coloring time. And on the top it says B, B-E-E, B. All right, so let's read our first book, Bees. Let's find out what's going on with bees. Bees fly from flower to flower. Bees look for food. Bees find food in the flowers. Bees pick up pollen. Bees eat pollen, which is a yellow powder in the flower. And if you see, sometimes when you go outside to play on the furniture outside or on mom and dad's car, you'll see that powdery pollen. That's what's making us all sneeze. And they carry that pollen away. So they're eating it and they're carrying it away. And then bees sip nectar from flowers, and nectar is a sweet juice hidden inside the flower. Yum. They fly home with the pollen and the nectar. Put that pollen and the nectar in their mouth. Bees live in a hive. As many as 60,000 bees live in one hive. And they put the pollen and the nectar inside of the hive. They bring it back to the hive, the pollen and the nectar. Bees make the nectar into honey. And remember, when we were talking about the nectar here, it says nectar is a sweet juice inside the flower. So that's why honey is sweet. Bees make the nectar into honey, and they eat some pollen and honey. Bees share their food with other bees in the hive. And people build hives in wooden boxes. And you see what they're doing here? Here's the hive, and she has all the bees, and they're bringing the nectar and the pollen back, and they're making the honey, and they take the honey out right there. They take the honey out, and that's when we eat the yummy honey. So good. And you can see the bees. You can see these are honey bees. They're not bumblebees, but you can still see some of the stripes that they have. All right, so let's get going on our honeycomb. All right, this is what it's going to look like when it's done. But you're going to have a blank slate. There's your honeycomb. And then you have a sheet of bees. I don't know how many I gave you, but I'm just going to cut one line out. There's 5 bees in there. So I think it's plenty. Even though 60,000 bees can be in one hive. Crazy. So here's our beehive. Honeycombs look like... The insides of it looks like a honeycomb. You can see. I actually just used this with pasta and it broke off, but you can still see the combs. The little compartments in each one where they're putting the pollen and the nectar. All right, so take out your dot to dot. You should have a yellow dot to dot. And you can start, or brown or whatever, if you want to paint it brown. You can start doing your dot to dot on here. And then when your dot to dot is dry, you're going to cut your bees, your honey bees. See, look at them. They're so cute. They have a little smile on them. How could you not like bees? All right, and then after, you can see here, after I did my dot to dot, I glued on my bees. And I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on my hive. So you're cutting them out, coloring them in, and then you're making your hive from them. Okay, so there is your hive, with your honeycombs that hold your nectar and your pollen. And let's move on to our second book. It says Honeybee. So this is another honeybee, but you can almost see it looks like fur on, see this? And that you can see looks about the same as that. Looks like fur, right? All right, so there's a close-up of the bee. Look, a honeybee buzzing through the warm afternoon. A little worker bee dips into colorful flowers again and again and again. He's getting that pollen and nectar out. From each flower, she collects a sweet liquid called nectar. She sips the runny nectar through her straw-like tongue and stores it in a special place just for honey tummy. The tongue is called, it's like a tunnel, and she's storing it in there. Aren't they so pretty? I think they are. Now look at her pollen face. Flower pollen dusts the bee like a fluffy golden snow. Look at, she's covered in it. And every once in a while she stops and she rolls the pollen into a ball and stuff these into tiny sacks in her back legs. She really does a lot of work. She is a worker bee. Honey, I'm home. When the bee is so heavy with nectar and pollen, she can barely fly. She heads back to her hive. And thousands of other worker bees are arriving home too, because they've all done the same thing. Inside the hive, the air hums with excitement and bees bustle to and fro. The whole colony works together for its queen. As long as she is safe and healthy, so is the hive. Worker bees bring her food and carry out her waste, and they fan their wings to keep the hive cool. Look at this up here. Look at that hive and all of those bees. One of the most important jobs in the hive is caring for the queen's many eggs. So these are all little eggs that she has laid, the queen. And through spring and summer, she lays up to 2,000 eggs per day. And she wiggles her abdomen down into the honeycomb and drops each egg into its own 6-wall cell. And that's, remember we talked about the comb. They're the little cells. The egg shell melts away, and hello, we have a larva, and it's a chub. The chubby baby looks like a little bee, but not yet. It has to grow a little, and for 3 days, the larva stays there until it begins to look like a tiny bee. Look at that. Finally, the honeybee chews open its little cocoon and it crawls out, and ta-da, it's here. And honeybees keep their hives clean and neat. So the new bee's first job is to clean her own room. So she's got to clean up that cocoon that she was in. Hives can be found in unusual places. They could be in trees, they could be in your house, in the attic, and you don't even know it. Many honeybees live in human-made hives. A beekeeper opens a hive to remove part of its sticky, golden, yummy honey. There's another beekeeper. And see what the beekeeper wears? He's got a net on his face. Okay, because imagine if he got stung by all those bees. That would not be a good thing. Bye-bye, Buzzy. Hope you find a lot of lovely flowers. Buzzy bee. And there's another picture of a bee up close. Bees work hard. When they say they're worker bees, they work hard. All right, the last thing that we're going to do today is, here's our worksheet. And we're going to color or paint all these flowers, beautiful different colors. And we can see that if it says, if I were a bee, what would I see? Now, you have a little, it looks like a ladybug here, but if you were a bumblebee, what would you see? So in these cutouts that I gave you of bumblebees, I want you to take one of these bumblebees and let's glue them onto the paper where you want. It's your choice. All right, because it says, if I were a bee, what would I see? I'd see some blank flowers right below me. So I'm going to put my bee up here, buzzing around. Okay, I glued my bee up here. And it said I'd see some blank flowers right below me. So we could say what color they are. I see some purple flowers right below me. We could say some yummy because the nectar is yummy and the pollen they collect. Or we could say I see some lovely smelling flowers right below me. So you have to think of how you're going to describe your flowers. So my suggestion would be put your bee up there and then color in or paint your flowers, and then you can decide what to write. I'd see some beautiful yellow flowers below me. Or I see some beautiful pink flowers below me. And then you can fill this in. Put your name on the top and then fill that in on the bottom. So I know we have a lot of work today. We're working on our hive. Here's our hive, and this is what it's going to look like. This is what you're going to make it. And then we're going to glue our bees to our hive. Remember, 60,000 bees can fit in that hive, but I would like if you put 5 in. Okay, and then we're going to color in our bees, our buzzing bees. And if you want to cut this out, you can, and then you can move the wings. And then we're going to do our biscuits and honey. So we're going to trace and we're going to cut out. And one last time, I want to show you what a bumblebee looks like. Very fuzzy. Looks a little soft to me. I'm sure that we don't want to go petting it because I don't think it's so soft, but there's just a picture of our bumblebee, our honeybee. Sorry, not bumblebee, our honeybee. It's got a lot going on. If you can remember, he's collecting that nectar with his tongue, and he's taking that pollen and he's storing it in the back of his legs. So he is a very busy worker bee. All right, boys, great job today. I'll see you back. Actually, I'll see you Thursday for our Zoom call. We're going to Zoom on Thursday. And I will set that up with Mommy. So I'll see you then. Bye-bye.